Then we got to the 6-man tag team match, Brian. And
I thought it would never end.
It
went 43 minutes.
FTR and Kingston against Danielson, Claudio, and Plumber Moxley, the BBC. They shot a quote-unquote angle for this on Collision and showed highlights to set this thing up. And first of all, do you remember when FTR's music would hit and they would enter a year and a half ago, the people would stand up, they would pop and cheer, they were over. They were having all these great matches, the Briscoes, people are in it. Well, no more of that. Kingston is now the most popular one on the babyface team here. And while the problem was FTR had great matches to get the cheers, Kingston is getting cheers, but his matches are going to be shit because instead of working the gimmick that he ought to have of being a kick-ass character babyface a la Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he's instead decided that he's the second coming of Antonio Inoki, and he's wrapped up in doing all this Japanese bullshit.
I think it's more Kawada, if I had to say, than Inoki.
Well,
it's more All Japan than New Japan.
Kawada didn't really roll off the end of my tongue. But the point is, so you got Kingston trying to do this goofy shit. FTR's been neutered. Claudio is a non-entity now. Danielson makes weird choices in his career over his last year in the full-time business. And then you got Moxley, who we have established it is not possible to have a good professional wrestling match with this fucking clown associated in any way, shape, or form. And it didn't take him 2 minutes before he crossed the line from shitty to unprofessional. He acts like a badass. He won't sell anything that Cash was doing. Cash could drop him. We've seen Cash drop people. Either look at Cash and look at fucking Moxley. Moxley looks like a goddamn science experiment in medical college. Yeah, he was floating in the river for 3 days. We don't really know who he was. Nobody claimed him. Let's cut him up. And
I can cut myself up. Thank you.
Just use the zipper. But see, you got a fucking middle-aged wino working like Andre the Giant with these guys, and then for no reason, they just broke into a 6-way and went to the floor and went to the break. And they did the picture-in-picture, so as I was zipping through to the next segment, you could see they were on the floor for the whole break. But when they come back up on television, they're in the ring with a fucking hold. And Moxley tried to get an Indian deathlock and didn't know how, and Cash still had to fucking sit in it like he was in something. Did you see that he wasn't in anything?
Cincinnati deathlock.
Well, at least he could get Skyline Chili as a sponsor. For the folks up there in Cincinnati, you're just loving that. So they give Dax a hot tag. He makes a comeback. They stop him. They get more heat. Everybody goes to the floor. The whole BBC team is burying not only the baby faces, but the ref. They're just in there constant. And then there's another break. And then they come back and they bury him again. They're constantly all in the ring, 3 at a time. The referee standing there with his fucking dick in his hand. The baby faces, there's 3 of them, but the other 2 apparently aren't supposed to come in and help yet. And then Kingston got a tag and didn't make a comeback. He and Danielson just stood in the middle of the ring and traded chops without him selling them. And then he and the plumber get face to face and they dramatically grab each other by the scruff of the collar and have a hockey fight. 32 punches that not only looked as fake as fuck and that weren't landing, but that nobody sold anyway. They just grabbed each other, hugged each other, and pistoned their right hand in the vicinity of each other while they were otherwise immobile. And then they go back to triple team and Kingston incessantly in front of the referee and FTR laying on the floor because they're not supposed to come in yet. And then the baby faces came in and triple teamed the BBC while the referee stood there aghast, agape, and his arms akimbo. How's that for alliteration?
Akimbo Slice.
Akimbo Slice. He was a badass son of a bitch. And then they did a 6-way with the referee dumbfounded, and all the guys were in quicksand because they were all doing the fake elbows, and Moxley's looked the worst. It was the pace of a crippled crab at this point. Then Kingston and Dax did the silly fake chop chest slap thing, and then all three of them did it. They got in the corner where it looks like a sissy slap fight with 8-year-old girls where they're slapping the guy's chest, but they're also slapping themselves with the other hand over and over, and nobody is being damaged by any of this. It just looks stupid. And then something I've never seen before in 52 years of watching wrestling. All three of the heels gave all three of the baby faces the 10 punches in the corner. And it was still a big 6-way because there wasn't a tag for like a 5-minute period. And it just, and then again with FTR, who are the most scrupulous about tag team rules and continuity. But you can't overcome the curse of Moxley. The plumber's curse, the Billy Goat's curse. You know what? He ought to get tights where when he bends over, his ass crack shows to accentuate his character.
Crack heels.
And here was the finish. The other 4 are all on the floor selling for no reason, just completely out of this. And Danielson walks up to Kingston, who's laying on the ground, and he just stomps him 7 times and then gets a head scissors on him, and the referee stopped it. What, 23 minutes bell to bell plus the fucking entrances. And the only way that I can figure out a way that this could have been a worse wrestling match is if it was longer, because it seemed like it anyway, as you mentioned. This took the same amount of time that The Rock's interview, and I was ready to goddamn jump off a bridge to get this thing to end. Help me.
There was no helping you, or there was no helping me either for this one. I did not like it. Every Moxley match turns into a Moxley match. The BCC, as a concept, doesn't work. It's just so stupid. They've made me sick of FTR. I didn't think it would happen. They've made me sick of FTR. And I want to like Eddie Kingston. I'm not saying like you do that he should be the modern Hacksaw Duggan. I mean, these guys are going to work the modern way.
Oh, his matches now are certainly fucking sparkling examples of professionalism.
But the problem is for everyone that made fun of like FTR in the past, but being a tribute act at times to the Hart Foundation or the Midnight Express or Tully and Arn, whatever it may be. And there's certainly big influences you would think on FTR. With Kingston, it's worse for this 1990s Japanese wrestling, which I love, like he does, just because he's not doing it the way Kawada did it. Probably shouldn't either. You'll take a lot of life off your opponent in the long run, and kill your own knees too and everything. But the point is, it's honorable that he likes it so much that he wants it to be his style, like in the traditional Shaw Brothers films kind of way. It's very honorable that he wants to serve his master and work his style and work the kibashi chops in the corner, but it makes you not like Eddie Kingston in the ring. That's
Maybe
the problem.
He ought to get a contract with Golden Harvest, not AEW.
He throws the best punch. I said this to you years and years and years ago at a Ring of Honor show when you were working for those chumps. I was over there and I said to you, because I'd never seen Eddie Kingston before. I'd never heard him talk. I said, that guy looks like a real New York guy. He's the only guy in this whole show that could throw a punch. And it looked great. He doesn't punch, he chops.
Yeah, now he's throwing fake chops.
But no, I didn't like this match. I really, really, really didn't like this match, no.